Washington is home to the federal government, but it also has an incredible array of cutting-edge businesses, including those with a national and international scope. I'm WTOP Capitol Hill correspondent Mitchell Miller, and we're fortunate to be joined today by Tim McBride, who's the president of ST Engineering North America. Welcome.
Thanks, Mitchell. Great to be here.
Well, let's dive right in. Your company is so diverse and so interesting, but to start things out, what is the history of the company in the U.S. and what's the scope of its businesses in the United States?
So if I could back up even before the U.S., the company really started as a critical partner to the Singapore government when Singapore first gained its independence more than 50 years ago. And so ST Engineering at that time became the partner that was working on defense solutions, urban solutions for Singapore government. About 30 years ago, the company started making acquisitions here in the U.S. and going after U.S. market opportunities, and we now have a rather diverse portfolio in the U.S. representing some defense, but also transport solutions, urban solutions, which deals with automated tolling. We are the largest commercial aircraft maintenance, repair, and overhaul, MRO, provider in the world, and we do a lot of that here in the United States as well.
So we're going to touch on a lot of the things that go back to Singapore since that's where everything started, but can you go back to what some of the product markets are here in the United States?
So commercial aircraft maintenance, repair, and overhaul, that's fixing the airplanes that we all fly on every day. We have big operations in San Antonio, Mobile, Alabama, Pensacola, and also some in Baltimore. Baltimore is slightly different in that they also do manufacturing of nacelles. That's the metal that surrounds the engines on aircraft. One of the things that many of the public wouldn't be aware of is that part of our operations in MRO includes converting decommissioned passenger jets into freighters. So during COVID, the demand was through the roof. Right? There was so much air freight going on that UPS, FedEx were after us to help with those conversions. Big part of our business as well. So about half of the workforce in the United States, we have 7,000 employees, about half of them are in the aerospace, commercial aerospace sector. And then we have automated toll collection, for instance. Many around the country will know us by Easy Pass or some of the Sun Pass in Florida. So our company works with municipalities to automatically collect tolls. We don't set the tolls. We're not the ones to complain to if you're unhappy with the tolls. But what we do is assist those municipalities in automated toll collection. But we also have a company that does robots, that manufactures and markets robots that deliver medicine and medical supplies in hospitals. Another does asphalt pavers, and we're a leader in sustainable asphalt pavers. So it's a really diverse portfolio here in the U.S.
So it sounds like the company finds a lot of these market niches, like you talked about the aircraft that weren't being used, and then figures out a way to develop and expand those businesses.
So I like to think of it as solving customers' problems through innovation and technology. And I think that's the core of what the company has done for its entire existence, even going back to the early days. Right? The customer comes with a problem. Our company helps design those solutions. In some cases, it could be in commercial aerospace. It could be in delivering in robotics, in autonomous vehicles. For instance, in Singapore, if you've traveled there, you'll see hundreds, if not thousands of freighters waiting to offload their cargo in Singapore as a gateway to Asia. Well, we have developed autonomous drones that deliver documents to those craft. So we're a leader in that. We have a maritime division that's quite active around the world. So we do defense work, we do commercial work, but our U.S. business is about a third of our business overall, so extremely important to our growth.
And I wanted to touch on one of those U.S. businesses around here, Middle River facility in Maryland. I understand is celebrating its 95th anniversary. What does the facility mean to your company, and what do you see its potential will be in the coming years?
Sure. We're really proud of that investment. It's been part of the family for, I want to say, 6 or 7 years at least, but they're the cornerstone of our commercial aerospace business here in the U.S. They're the group that manufactures the nacelles, the cowling that goes around commercial aircraft engines, also military engines, but we do mostly commercial there. We're really excited about our expansion. We're continuing a lease there. We expect to expand. We want to make room for additional manufacturing here in the United States in this area. We have opportunities that we're pursuing with the U.S. Marine Corps and commercial customers that would produce a so-called wing and ground craft. It might look like a seaplane, but it's really considered a maritime vessel, which will help not only our military customers, but also commercial customers in inter-island transportation, for instance, as a way that's sustainable, that's faster than regular ferry service. It's also lower tech, but that's just one example of where we see Middle River fitting into the future expansion.
I did notice, just because I am kind of an aircraft buff, that it's called the Airfish.
Airfish, yeah.
Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit?
So, as I say, if you looked at it, you'd say, wow, that looks like a seaplane. But in fact, it is not a plane. It's regulated as a maritime vessel, right? It's a relatively simple vessel, but it takes advantage of the so-called wing and ground effect, meaning it flies about between 5 and 10 feet above the water. And because you're not in the water, you don't have the resistance of the water, it's faster, it's more fuel efficient. It's also simple to operate. And so this is one of the appeals for some of our customers, right? They can operate it and maintain it quite easily. We're pursuing a partnership with GM Defense to produce those engines, and we're really excited about the prospects for that. A lot of interest from the U.S. military for some of their applications, as well as commercial customers.
And I wanted to move on now to a big topic. A lot of interest here in Washington on it is smart city. Yes. And digital solutions. You touched on that a little bit about it, but I know it's a broad topic, but what areas are ST Engineering focused on in connection with trying to create some of these innovations?
Sure. I would say that our largest footprint in smart cities in the United States really is TransCore. TransCore represents probably our biggest penetration in the smart cities in the U.S. It really captures the imagination of those who wonder, what piece of smart cities do we play in? We have many smart city solutions deployed all around the world. The key is finding a home for those applications here in the U.S. For instance, we do smart parking, right? It's not unheard of here in the States, but we think we have applications that would lend themselves to many communities. And so part of our effort is to break into some of those market opportunities. We have a solution that one has heard of on subway systems, customers are either falling or being pushed into the tracks. We have a solution that actually has glass doors that move with the train cars. It can sense when the train car, because take the New York City subway system, over many decades has cars of different lengths.
Right.
And so where that opening occurs will depend on which train is stopping at which platform. We have doors that can sense where the right place is to open that glass door. And so finding those places where our solutions can provide the greatest benefit is part of our challenge. But we also work with our customers to design solutions as well, and that comes back to our being a solution provider.
So some communities may have a problem that they know want addressed. You also see opportunity where you can help a community, like we've had obviously a lot of issues here in the Washington area with metro and safety issues, those type of things.
Indeed, and even the toll collection or the fare collection in a metro system becomes something we've deployed in many parts around the world. We have a big presence, as I say, in many sectors all around the world. And part of the effort of the company is to identify opportunities here in the United States to expand our business, either operating through the 12 businesses that operate in the United States now, working through them, or identifying markets like the airfish. We don't produce that here now, but trying to help the company break into new lines of business or pull through products that have had success in other parts of the world and we think might resonate here.
It's fascinating. I had a recent conversation with somebody about Easy Pass, and for all the complaining people do about whether tolls are too up or too high or too low, this person said, I've noticed that at their destination, there isn't nearly as much traffic because, or when they go across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, for example, that they don't wait as much because it's another technology that has moved things forward. So it's interesting.
I think we've all grown accustomed to technology making our lives easier, and that's the goal of solutions like an Easy Pass, right? Help to make that commute easier. We're proud to be the partner on deploying solutions for congestion pricing in New York City. Now, there are a lot of politics surrounding where that goes, but we're the technology partner that enables it to happen if and when policymakers decide this is our solution to handle congestion and toll collection. Separating from the policy and the politics of that issue, we're really excited to be the solution provider.
And as you mentioned, obviously defense is a huge part of what you do. You have a big operation in Singapore and Asia. What are ST Engineering's defense interests here in the United States? You've touched on a little bit.
Sure. So one of the companies has historically manufactured hardened computers for to support the soldiers in the battlefield. Miltope is the name of that company. And of course, our challenge is to continue to evolve with the technology market, and that's what this company does, to ensure that the warfighter, the soldiers in the field, have the equipment they need and the technology they need in an environment that's quite different than the office some of us are working in. Another company is Mach, M-A-K. Mach does simulated solutions and training solutions for our military, right? And they help to identify very realistic scenarios for troops to train prior to being out in the field. It's Call of Duty on steroids in a classified sense. And these are businesses that operate in classified environments. There are strict rules for how international companies like ours operate and support the U.S. Defense Department. We abide by all of those and respect those and are proud to be recognized as a supplier to the U.S. Pentagon. But there's a lot of competition here. And then we have another company that does helps with communications, ground modems in the satellite communications area. And so they do modems that assist communications, both in the classified and the commercial sense. We're increasingly relying on the ability to use Wi-Fi on an aircraft or on a cruise ship. So we have some commercial solutions that assist the communications sector in that. But the same is true with the defense and classified space. And
I understand that your company, like some other companies, is looking into sustainability and trying to make sure that there are certain things that reduce the carbon footprint and promote eco-friendly solutions.
So sustainability is a really important objective of the company. It's a value that we embrace not only in Singapore but in our operations all around the world. Lee Boy, one of our companies I mentioned, which produces asphalt pavers, is one of the first out in the marketplace with e-pavers that will allow municipalities to use electric drive asphalt pavers and be more sustainable. So all of our businesses are looking to address this sustainability question. We have an active sustainability council here in the U.S. and we're driving all of the businesses to hold that as a strict value in their operations.
And coming full circle, you began by mentioning the base, which is in Singapore. Mm-hmm. How has that kind of sprung forward? You talked about various areas, but taking those technologies, the technologically savvy areas that have been happening in Singapore, and then just kind of expanding them now into North America.
I think the challenge for me and for our team in the United States is to identify those solutions the company has deployed all around the world that might have a home here. Now we have 12 different companies here and they're doing that all the time. But there are some solutions that aren't represented by one of those 12 businesses here. And so I and the team work with our colleagues in Singapore to try to identify some of those technologies that we think would resonate here in the United States and support that growth here and that expansion. We call them so-called pull-through products, products that have found a home either in Singapore or somewhere else in the world that might resonate here in the U.S. and the U.S. market.
And there's so much happening in the world nationally and internationally. What do you think the future of ST Engineering is here in the United States?
Certainly committed to growth. We in the defense sector, but also especially in the urban solutions, in the connectivity sector. We think there's a lot of opportunity for us to expand on the presence we have in the toll collection, in the smart cities realm. And that probably represents one of our greatest growth opportunities.
All right, well, a fascinating conversation. Your company really is amazing, the breadth that it has. I really want to thank you for joining us.
Really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us. I'm WTOP's Capitol Hill correspondent, Mitchell Miller, and we've been speaking with Tim McBride, the president of ST Engineering North America.